All praise to the Most High, AHAYAH, and to his son, AHAYAH'S, AHAYAH. This is Brother Holly here with the second Spirit of Truth broadcast here on the AHAYAH'S channel, as well as the House of AHAYAH channel on this set-apart Sabbath day. First and foremost, as always, I'd like to give all praise, glory, and honor to the great I am, he who is, was, and is to come, the Almighty One, AHAYAH, and to his son, AHAYAH'S, Messiah, who gave himself for us that we might have life, and that life is in him, AHAYAH. Now, in the second broadcast, we're going to continue on our series on strong delusion and believing that they believe they lie. What is the next lie we're going to look at? It's not one that we mentioned in the first broadcast, but it's one that the Most High quickened to me by his Spirit between these broadcasts, and that's the lie of no one can be perfect. You have heard it on the street. You talk to somebody and you talk to somebody in private, you talk to somebody on the street, and you say something from the scriptures about their little pet peeve sin. They may think that no one knows that they're a closet adulterer or adulteress. And then you start talking about adultery, and then they pipe right up and say no one is perfect. Well, then no one is perfect. You know, Most High forgive me. No one is perfect. And you say, well, wait a minute. The scriptures say a lot of people are perfect. Scriptures say Noah was perfect. Scriptures say Abraham walked in perfection. The scriptures say that Job was perfect. Messiah was perfect. And Messiah himself called all of us to be perfect, even as his Father is perfect. And they'll say, you're taking that out of context every time. You'll read it verbatim. You'll read how Job was perfect. You'll read how Abraham was perfect. You'll read how the Apostle Saul, in whom we all trust, told us to be perfect. And still they will reject it in totality. They will say, no, you're taking it out of context. And we learned in the first broadcast from the Spirit of AHAYAH that when someone says that, they are merely exposing themselves as someone who's been given over to strong delusion that they will believe a lie. They were presented the truth, refused the love of the truth that they might be saved, and now they've been given over to strong delusion to believe a lie that they might be damned. And we're going to read the prohibition one more time, and while we continue in this series on strong delusion, we're going to read the prohibition about it every time. So it'll be fresh in our minds, so we won't let this slip, we won't let this slide, and we'll see things how they really are from the scriptures. You're ready to go? I hope so. We'll be reading from the Learn Paleo Hebrew Torah, Lashawan, Kodash, Holy Tongue, Yeshaya, AHAYAH Bible Scriptures. And before we begin in the second broadcast, I would be remiss if I didn't send out a hearty welcome to all our new subscribers. It seems, children, that we get new subscribers every week, and I just give a high praise for that. AHAYAH. New subscribers, thank you for subscribing and spending your time here with us. I hope that your time amongst us will be profitable, will be fruitful, that you'll be edified, that you'll receive straight instruction and truth from the scriptures as we open up the word of truth and speak it without hesitation. No side deal, straight, no chaser. Because here at the AHAYAH'S house and House of AHAYAH, as I have told everyone, these rebukes are 100% free of charge. We will never ask you for a dime to present this, to make these presentations on the Sabbath. That we do this under AHAYAH'S guidance and by his mercy and by his strength. And I just give him praise that you're with us now. And may your time here be amongst us be fruitful. AHAYAH. Turn me to 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. We'll start reading verse 7 again. 2 Thessalonians 2:7. For the mystery of iniquity doth already work. Only he who now letteth will let until he be taken out of the way. And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the master shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. So that wicked one, who the world always refers to as the Antichrist, that wicked one will continue to rule and reign until AHAYAH'S comes. And when he comes, he'll destroy him with the brightness of his coming. That's when the end of the so-called Antichrist will be. That wicked one. And we're gonna see that wicked one. How we know it's him? Verse 9, even him whose coming is after the working of Satan or Satan, with all power and signs and lying wonders. Will you highlight? There's a person right now in the land of Canaan amongst those deceivers and liars who have a hexagram on their flag, who the wall worshipers, the Make-A-Wish Foundation that wish they were the children of Jacob. They say their Messiah has come. He's working miracles right now. You can look it up. So we know we're getting very close to the return of Yahushua or AHAYAH'S. And children, personally, I can't wait. We see the Most High, rebuking the nations before our eyes. We see all these things. All these signs are before us. If we can't come to an appreciation and the knowledge of the truth in this hour, it just ain't gonna happen for you. I'm sorry. Now is not the time to draw back into perdition. Now is the time to lean forward to the saving of your soul. All praises. 2 Thessalonians 2:9 again. Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan, with all power and signs and lying wonders, and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. And for this cause AHAYAH shall send them strong delusion, that they should believe a lie. Will you highlight? If you believe lies, no one can be perfect. The Most High love everybody. If you believe those lies, then AHAYAH has sent you strong delusion. And the next verse is the condemnation for being in that condition. Let's read it. Verse 12, 2 Thessalonians 2:12, that they all might be damned who believe not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness. Will you highlight? If you are suffering from strong delusion, believing lies, and when the truth is brought to you straight out of the scriptures, and you just can't receive it, you've been given over to strong delusion. You've been given over to believe lies. You're going to be damned. There ain't no redemption for you. You're going to be damned. Why? Because you refused to receive a love of the truth when it was presented. You've gone too far. Only thing left for you now is condemnation. Well, but you take it out of context. Once again, if you think that what I just read is out of context, then what I just read is applicable to you. Let's go forward. Turn to Genesis chapter 17. All praises. And y'all know, if you can't tell, I'm enjoying this series. I really am. I'm enjoying this. Let's turn to Genesis 17. Let's see. To the question. No one can be perfect. Let's see. In Genesis 17, just give you a backdrop. The Most High is calling Abram. Even before he was Abraham, AHAYAH appeared to him. And we know he didn't appear to him by the name of AHAYAH. We can just read that in Exodus chapter 6 verse 3. But he appeared to him by the name of the Almighty AHAYAH. So we're going to read it just like that. Genesis 17:1. And when Abram was 99 years old and 9, AHAYAH appeared to Abram and said unto him, AHAYAH, the Almighty AHAYAH, walk before me and be thou perfect. Will you highlight? AHAYAH, on the Most High, the Almighty Most High. walk before me and be perfect. Now, here the Most High has given Abram some instructions or given him a commandment or direction to walk before him in perfection. Was Abram, or Abraham, as his name was changed, was he able to carry this out? Or did he fail at it? Let's find out. Let's see what the scriptures say. Turn over Genesis chapter 26. And let's read verse 5. This will give us the clearest indication if Abram or Abraham was able to perform that which the Most High, the Almighty AHAYAH, called him to when he called him in Genesis 17. He told him to walk before me and be perfect. Let's see if he's able to do that and how. Genesis 26 and 5 says, because that Abraham obeyed my voice, kept my charge, my commandments, my statutes, and my Torah law. And Isaac dwelled in Gerar. This was the Most High talking to Abraham's son Isaac, making a covenant with him, and he spoke to him about his father. That his father Abraham followed his voice, kept his charge, kept his commandments, kept his statutes, walked in his judgments, and kept his law. Wow. He didn't say anything about Abraham not performing these things. Matter of fact, he gave Abraham 100% credit for doing all that. Let's read it again. Because that Abraham, Genesis 26 and 5, because that Abraham obeyed my voice and kept my charge, my commandments, my statutes, my Torah law, and my Torah law. We highlight. So how did Abraham walk in perfection? He kept everything that he knew to keep from the Most High. The Most High told him something, he did it. He walked in obedience to the Most High. Let that sink in for a moment. You can walk in perfection, but you can't walk in perfection being disobedient. You can walk in perfection like Abraham walked in perfection, but you can't do it being disobedient. The first thing that the Most High said about Abraham is what? Abraham obeyed. Underline that word, obeyed. You can't walk in perfection unless you're willing to obey his voice. You can't walk in perfection unless you're willing to obey his commandments. You won't walk in perfection unless you're willing to obey his statutes. You won't walk in perfection unless you're willing to obey his judgments. You won't walk in perfection if you're not willing to obey his commandments, and you definitely ain't going to walk in perfection if you're not willing to obey his law. It ain't going to happen. So perfection is obedience, according to the scriptures. Well, let's get another. Let's see what else perfection is. Let's see another person called to perfection, and let's see what they did. Turn with me to the book of Job. A lot of you knew I was going here. All praises. So when they make the statement, nobody is perfect, you can just pull out your phone and call it this presentation. And if they won't receive the word, we know where they stand spiritually. We know where they are on the continuum of having a person willing to hear and fall in love with the truth, or somebody who's been given over to strong delusion. You can talk to them till you're blue in the face. They've been given over strong delusion. They'll never change. I'm just trying to help. Job chapter 1 verse 1. And there was a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job. And that man was perfect and upright, and one that feared AHAYAH and eschewed evil. Will you highlight? So there was two things about Job that made him perfect. He feared the Most High, AHAYAH, and he avoided evil. Two factors. that made Job perfect. He feared AHAYAH, the Most High, and he wouldn't participate in evil. He avoided evil. So you got to avoid evil. The Apostle Paul, the Apostle Saul, in whom we all trust, said the exact same thing in 2 Corinthians chapter 7. Let's see it. Oh, brother, how are you taking that out of context? Oh, you've been given over to strong delusion that you'll believe a lie. That's all it is. Let's keep reading. Let's see if we can get a love of the truth today. Here's the Apostle Saul, in whom we all trust, speaking under the inspiration of the Spirit. But let's get some qualifiers on holiness or being separate. Being separate or set apart, a great deal of it is avoidance of those who are not like yourself. You can't be separate from sinners if you're always with them. You can't be separate from whoremongers if you go into the whorehouse. You won't be separate from those who use drugs if you're in the crack house. You won't be separate from drunkards at the bar. To be separate from drunkards, you can't be at the bar. You can't be at the whorehouse. You can't be at the crack house if you're going to be separate from these sins. If you're going to be separate from embezzlers, you can't be running schemes on the internet or in the banking system. If you're going to be separate from thieves, you can't be getting in the car with them when they go into to jack cars or houses. And the Apostle Saul, whom we all trust, is going to let you know in more than one way how to be separate from sinners or how to eschew evil in fear of AHAYAH. Let's see it. 2 Corinthians chapter 6. Let's start reading at verse 14. It says, "Be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. For what fellowship has righteousness with unrighteousness?" I'll give you a clue. None. We're to have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness. The Apostle Saul said that in Ephesians chapter 5. But here in 2 Corinthians chapter 6, the Apostle Saul says what? "Be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers, for what fellowship have righteousness with unrighteousness? None. And what communion has light with darkness?" I'll answer the question for you. None. "And what concord has Messiah with Baal?" I'll answer the question. None. "Or what part have he that believes with an infidel?" None. "Or what agreement hath the temple of AHAYAH with idols?" The answer is simple. None. "For you are the temple of the living AHAYAH, as AHAYAH have said, I will dwell in them and walk in them, and I will be their AHAYAH, and they shall be my people." Will you highlight? He does not, AHAYAH, the Most High, the Great I Am, does not exist in temples made with hands. He exists in the temple of his people. Hallelujah. All praises. I'll read verse 16 again. "And what agreement have the temple of AHAYAH with idols? For you are the temple of the living AHAYAH, as AHAYAH have said, I will dwell in them and walk in them, and I will be their AHAYAH, and they shall be my people." Highlight, underline. You can't have any agreement at all, or fellowship at all, with unrighteousness, with infidels, with idols, the unbeliever. None. Zero, nada. Because we're going to read about perfecting holiness. This is how you do it. You have no fellowship with the evil, with the darkness. None. This is how you do it. This is how you walk in perfection. It's by being separate. By separating yourself from the wicked ones. Unto the Most High. Unto His holiness. Unto His separation. He says, be ye holy as I'm holy. If you do that, then you're perfecting holiness. Or you're walking in perfection. Then you're being perfect as the Father is perfect. When you're being holy as the Father is holy, you're being perfect as He is perfect. We're going to read that in Matthew. Well, AHAYAH'S said that in a moment. 2 Corinthians 6:16 again. And what agreement hath the temple of AHAYAH with idols? For you are the temple of the living AHAYAH, as AHAYAH has said, I will dwell in them and walk in them, and I will be their AHAYAH, and they shall be my people. Wherefore, come out from among them and be ye separate, saith AHAYAH. Touch not the unclean thing, and I will receive you. We highlight. To be qualified, to be called son or daughter, you got to come out from among them. You can't keep going to your favorite whorehouse church or your favorite whorehouse, period. And I call these tithe-taking, pork chop eating, Sunday go to meeting places, whorehouse churches. Why? Just like a whorehouse, you pay a fee, which they call your tithe, and they give you a good song and dance and a good show and make you feel good, just like a whore would. They give you anything you want to, they'll show you anything you want to see, do anything to you want done for a price. That price is 10% of your income. I wish I was making this up, but I'm not. Look, I didn't set up their business and their marketing scheme. They did. I'm just telling you not to participate with it. See, we here at AHAYAH'S House and House for High, we're not an organization. We're an organism. We're the temple of the living AHAYAH, of the Most High Himself. It's made up of people, not brick and stone. Not brick and stone. He walks in us. He walks and talks and moves through us. In Him we live, move, and have our being. AHAYAH. 2 Corinthians 6:17. Wherefore come out from among them and be ye separate or holy, saith AHAYAH, and touch not the unclean thing, and I will receive you, and will be a father unto you, and ye shall be my sons and daughters, says AHAYAH Almighty. Will you highlight? Like I just mentioned a few moments ago, you will not be considered to be a son or daughter of AHAYAH if you still among the heathen, if you're still walking in the darkness, if you're still walking with infidels, if you're having your concord with Satan himself and his children. You're not a son or a daughter of AHAYAH if you're doing these things. You got to be separate from them. I'll read verse 18 again. And I will be a father unto you, and you shall be my sons and daughters, saith AHAYAH Almighty. Having therefore, 2 Corinthians 7:1, having therefore these promises. What promises? The promises of what will happen when you separate. You'll be considered a son or daughter of AHAYAH. You'll be received of Him. You don't touch the unclean things. Having therefore these promises, dearly beloved, this is 2 Corinthians 7:1. Having therefore these promises, dearly beloved, let us cleanse ourselves of all filthiness of flesh and spirit, perfecting Quadashawah in the fear of AHAYAH. Will you highlight? Perfecting holiness. How do you do it? By cleansing yourself of all filthiness of flesh and spirit. What's some fleshly filth, Brother Holly? It's easy. The works of the flesh are fleshly. Filth, adultery, fornication, lying, theft, murder, sedition, debate. What's some spiritual filth, Brother Holly? Idolatry. Putting things before the Most High. Covetousness. These are spiritual things. Giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils. That's spiritual filthiness. You got to cleanse yourself of that. I'll read it again. 2 Corinthians 7:1. When they tell you nobody can be perfect, take them here and read. You can perfect separation. You can perfect holiness. You have to, and it tells you how to do it. It says, having therefore these promises, dearly beloved, let us cleanse ourselves of all filthiness. How much filthiness, Brother Holly? All of it. All filthiness of the flesh and spirit, perfecting holiness in the fear of AHAYAH. Receive us. They're going to tell you some more stuff you can do. Receive us. We have wronged no man. You perfected holiness when you ain't wronged nobody. We have corrupted no man. We ain't corrupted nobody over here. We have defrauded no man. We ain't taking a dime from you. If you try to send me some money, I send it back. Don't even try it. We will not be guilty of defrauding you. We're not defrauding you of anything. If anything, we're giving you something. I have put these resources in some of your hands. If you can't afford these resources, let me know. I'll do my best to put these resources in your hand. Why? Because I want you to come out from among them and be separate, so that AHAYAH can call you a son or daughter. I want you to perfect holiness. I don't want you to be empty-headed and deceived and think no one can be perfect. We just went over how to be perfect. And in 2 Corinthians, same book, the Apostle Saul, whom we all trust. And if you wonder why I don't call the Apostle Paul anymore, this is an aside, but it's good. When AHAYAH called him on the road to Damascus, what did he say? Saul, Saul, why have you persecuted me? When the Spirit of AHAYAH commissioned him and Barnabas to go out, what did he say? Separate unto me Saul and Barnabas for the work I called them to. At no place in the book of Acts or anywhere else in the New Testament does it say that the Father, the Son, or the Spirit of AHAYAH ever changed Saul's name to Paul. Nowhere. If you got a scripture that say that the Father, the Son, or the Spirit of AHAYAH changed his name from Saul to Paul, put it in the comment section. I'll read it, and I'll make a full recant. But until then, it's Brother Saul. It's Apostle Saul. I don't know who this Paul is. Paul's some make-believe dude. 2 Corinthians chapter 13. Let's start reading verse 5. 2 Corinthians 13:5. Examine yourselves whether you be in the faith. Prove your own selves. Okay, in 2 Corinthians chapter 7, it says to cleanse yourself. 2 Corinthians chapter 13 says examine yourself. Prove yourself. I don't have to examine you. You're supposed to be examining yourself. I'm not here to cleanse you. You cleanse yourself. I'm not here to prove you. You prove yourself. Read it. Examine yourselves. 2 Corinthians 13:5. Examine yourselves whether you be in the faith. Prove your own selves. Know ye not your own selves? How that AHAYAH Messiah is in you, except ye be reprobates. The only people who don't have AHAYAH Messiah in them are the reprobates. Examine yourself and see if you're a reprobate. If he's in you, you're going to be separate. You're going to separate yourself from all filth of flesh and spirit. You're going to perfect holiness. You're going to be walking in perfect separation. You're going to come out from among them and be separate. You're not going to be walking with the ungodly. You're not going to be walking with the hypocrites. You're not going to be darkening the doors of them whorehouse churches early Sunday morning. You're not going to be feasting on shrimp, pork, crab, and lobster. You're not going to be doing that. Why? Because you're going to be like Abraham, walking in obedience to all the laws, statutes, commandments, judgment, obeying his voice. You're going to be walking as perfect Abraham walked. Oh, praises. I'll read it again. 2 Corinthians 13:5. Examine yourselves whether you be in the faith. Prove your own selves. Know ye not your own selves, how that AHAYAH'S Messiah is in you, except ye be reprobates? But I trust that ye shall know that we are not reprobates. I hope you know that. I hope you know that the Apostle Saul. I hope you know Brother Holly no reprobate. I hope so. Now I pray to a higher that you do no evil. Did not Job not do evil? Was that not part of Job's perfection? He feared a higher, which we just read in 2 Corinthians chapter 7. You perfect holiness in fear of him. And did not Job, who was perfect and upright, eschew, avoid evil? What does it say here? 2 Corinthians 13:7. Now I pray to a higher that you do no evil. Absolutely. Not that we should appear approved, but that you should do that which is honest. Look, I'm praying to a higher for you not to do evil, not so I'll get a brownie point. No, that you will do things that are honest. You'll live that way. That you should do that which is honest, though we be as reprobates. Hope you trust. I hope you know we ain't reprobates. But some people think we are. But we're not. And we're praying that you do no evil. Not that we get a brownie point. Brother Holly praying that you don't do any evil. Not that I get a brownie point. But you live honestly. Verse 8, for we can do nothing against the truth, but for the truth will you highlight. You've heard me, if you've been around here for any period of time, you've heard me say that a bunch of times. We can do nothing against the truth, but we can only do something for the truth. That's right. All praises. 2 Corinthians 13:9, for we are glad when we are weak and you are strong, and this also we wish, even your perfection will you highlight. Oh, no one is perfect. No one can be perfect. Well, if no one can be perfect, the Apostle Saul, on whom we all trust, wasted a whole lot of time under the speaking by the Spirit of Ahaya, leading you, showing you and me and all of us. Not only is perfection available to us, it's what we're called to. I'll read it again. We are glad when we are weak and you are strong. And this also we wish, even your perfection. Therefore I write these things, being absent. Look, he wrote these things for your perfection, being absent, lest being present I should use sharpness, according to the power which the Master has given me to edification and not to destruction. Finally, brethren, farewell, be perfect. Wow. How many times I tell you? Perfect holiness. Perfect holiness. The fear of God. I'm saying these things to you being absent for your perfection. Because if I was with you, I'll use sharpness. I'll be a little rough. I'm just giving it to you kind of gentle because I'm absent. I'm not with you. If I was with you, I'd use sharpness. Not for your destruction, mind you, but for your edification, to build you up. Now, I gotta go. Paul said, the Apostle Saul said, gotta go. What did he say? Verse 11, finally, brethren, farewell. Be perfect. Be of good comfort. Be perfect. Be perfect. I thought no one could be perfect. You see how ludicrous that saying that no one can be perfect is in comparison to the revealed truth found in the scriptures. How ludicrous it is. Am I making mockery of that saying? Yeah. I'm showing you verse after verse after verse after verse after verse on perfection from the New Testament. And there's more. The Apostle Peter, whom we all trust, told us to be established and be perfect. Here the Apostle Saul, whom we all trust, telling us to be perfect. I'll read it again. 2 Corinthians 13:11. Finally, brethren, farewell, be perfect, be of good comfort, be of one mind, live in peace, and the AHAYAH of love and peace shall be with you. We highlight. Be of good comfort, be of one mind. Don't be double-minded. Don't be unstable. Live in peace. That's perfection. That's part of being perfect. Let's read that. Matthew. Here's the words of AHAYAH'S, found in Matthew chapter 5. And we'll read a little bit into chapter 6 as well, because the thought just continues. We'll read what precedes and what follows, so you'll see that he was giving you some pointers, if you will, on how to be perfect as the Father is perfect. Let's start reading verse 43. Matthew 5:43. Ye have heard that it has been said, Thou shalt love thy enemies, love thy neighbor, and hate thy enemy. But I say unto you, love your enemies, bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you, and pray for them that despitefully use you and persecute you, that ye may be the children of your Father which is in heaven. For he maketh his sun to rise on the evil and on the good. Will you highlight? Now, is the Most High saving everybody? Back to our original point in the first broadcast. No. He maketh the same sun to rise on the evil and the good, and sendeth rain on the just and on the unjust. Both the people who are justified and the people who are unjustified get rain. That's the level of love that you should have for your enemy. It says in the book of Romans, if your enemy is hungry, feed them. If they're thirsty, give them something to drink. For in doing so, you're heaping coals of fire upon their head. If your enemy hungry, feed them. If they thirsty, give them something to drink. It's not going to stop the judgment from coming to them, but they're not hungry and thirsty anymore. And you've shown love. All praises. That's on the side. You'll get it. I read verse 44 and 45 again. But I say unto you, love your enemies, bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you, pray for them that despitefully use you and persecute you, that you may be children of your Father which is in heaven. For he maketh his sun to rise on the evil and on the good. See, you're acting in a like the Most High when you pray for your enemies, when you do good to those that despitefully use you. He do the same thing by giving them sunlight and rain. He's doing good to them, but that's all he's doing for them. And when you give them something to eat and drink, as the Apostle Saul, whom we all trust, instructed us in Romans chapter, I believe it's chapter 13 or 14. When we give them something to eat or drink, then we're acting like the Most High acts. He calls rain to fall on, sunlight. We give them something to eat and drink when they're hungry or thirsty. That's how we show love to the enemy. All praises. I know you'll get it. Verse 46. For if you love them which love you, what reward have ye? Do not even the publicans the same? People don't even know the Most High. They do that. They love those who love them. And if you salute your brethren only, What do ye more than others? Do not even the publicans so? Be ye therefore perfect, even as your Father which is in heaven is perfect. When you love your enemies by taking care of their base needs, just like the Most High take care of their base needs. When you love your enemy, you love those that persecute you, like the Most High love them, or the Most High shows compassion toward them. It doesn't say he love them, does it? No. For he make his son, or no, he don't love them. It didn't say he love them. So I retract that statement. But when you love him, as he commanded you to, through his son, AHAYAH'S, you're acting like he acts when he shows compassion on the wicked by causing the sun to rise on the rain to fall. You feed them, give them something to drink. You're actually calling in the judgment, the coals of fire for the head. And it says in Proverbs that the Most High will bless you if you do it. All praises. And it's part of your perfection that you act in this way, that you salute your brethren. You salute your brethren and strangers. Just because someone you don't know, you don't say, hey, how you doing? Because you just do that to people you know or to your brethren, people you have an affinity toward, then you're no different than the publicans. But you're to be perfect even as your Father in heaven is perfect. All praises. Take heed, Matthew chapter 6, verse 1. Take heed that you do not your alms before men to be seen of them. Otherwise you have no reward of your Father which is in heaven. Here's some more stuff for your perfection. When you give alms, you got to give it this way or you're not walking in perfection. Therefore, when thou doest thy alms, do not sound a trumpet before thee, as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and in the streets, that they may have glory of men. Verily I say unto you, they have their reward. But when thou doest alms, let not thy right hand know what let thy left hand know what thy right hand does, that thy alms may be in secret, and thy Father which seeth in secret himself shall reward thee openly. We highlight this part of your perfection. And when you pray, thou shalt not be as the hypocrites are, for they love to pray standing in the synagogues and in the corners of the streets, that they may be seen of men. Verily I say unto you, they have their reward. Where you highlight. But thou, when thou prayest, enter into thy closet, and when thou hast shut thy door, pray to thy Father which is in secret, and thy Father which seeth in secret shall reward thee openly. Where you highlight. This is how you be perfect, child. You ain't perfect standing on the street corner praying, folks. You ain't perfect announcing to the world that you gave X number of dollars to this charity or that charity. No, you far from it. You hypocrite. Why are you a hypocrite? Because he told you not to do it. Right here, he just told you not to do that. So you're walking in disobedience. You're not being perfect as the Father is perfect. The Father instructs you through his Son to do it in secret. To do your alms in secret. To pray in secret. Go in your closet. Just you and the Almighty. Go in there and pray in secret. Your Father hear you. If you do it right, do it in secret, like he said. If you follow these instructions, he'll hear you. And he'll reward you openly. All praises. Verse 7, Matthew 6:7. But when ye pray, use not vain repetitions as the heathens do, for they think they shall be heard for their much speaking. Be not therefore like unto them, for your Father knoweth what things you have need of before you ask him. You highlight. Vain repetition, praying the sinner's prayer, praying the LORD prayer. Praying the same thing over and over again. Praying the rosary. All repetitious prayer. It's all repetitious prayer. We're not praying repetition, how are we? You think you'll be heard for your much speaking? I don't know. We're not to pray in repetition. We're to be perfect. Father know what you got need of. Father know what you've done. You can just say, Father, be merciful to me, your son. You'll go home justified. You know what AHAYAH'S said? So let's recap. when these people that you run into in your comings and goings, and the question comes up about being perfect or walking in the perfection that we've been called to walk in, like our father Abraham was. And they tell you, no one is perfect. No one can be perfect. You can take them to the scriptures that we have gone over, or you can lead them to this broadcast, and they can see for themselves from the word. Not only can one person be perfect, we are all called. All those who are separate, who've been called unto be separate unto the Most High, the great I am. All of us are called to walk in that perfection, to perfect holiness and feel AHAYAH, that we may be perfect and entire, lacking nothing. All praise to the Most High, AHAYAH, and to his son, AHAYAH'S, AHAYAH'S.